Hello, welcome. As you can see, the Baltimore Ravens game is and the New Orleans Saints game still going on a little bit. It's starting to look like it'll be over. Baltimore just got the ball back on a defensive play, and so when it comes to the week, there was six teams on bye, so a little bit of a weirder week too. On the NFL slate, it was weird. They had 8 games at 1 o'clock and 2 at 4 o'clock, and it was just really weird. I still don't get why they always do that, but just very weird. Going to Thursday night, this game was competitive until half, basically, and then the Eagles basically handled business and ended up winning. AJ Brown, week by week, looks better and better with the Eagles, and I mean, they could go undefeated to like early December, maybe even mid December. They look amazing right now. I mean, Jalen Hurts has been playing really well. For the Texans, Damian Pierce is really, really good. He's the one bright spot on their team. He's been playing really well. Oh, yeah, the Ravens just scored again, so yeah, that game's probably over now. So, yeah, back to the Eagles. I mean, not much to talk about. They handled business. They did really well. Um, when it comes to, we'll go to the night game. The Sunday night game between Chiefs and Titans was actually like a really good game. Chiefs went up 9-0 early. Looked like they could do something, and then the Titans basically scored. I think it was 17 unanswered, pretty much. They just came back. They played really well. For only Malik Willis only completed like For Malik Willis only completing 5 passes, the Titans played really well. I mean, Derrick Henry ran the ball. They should have ran it more, though, honestly. I'm shocked they kind of went away from Derrick Henry towards the end of the game, and it was really weird because it felt like they should have been feeding him more because yeah, it felt like he didn't get enough carries, and when it came to the way he was like running over them, he had some big plays. So it was just very weird by that. Chiefs just Mahomes threw it like 68 times. I think he threw it a shit ton basically, but he yeah he Mahomes just played really well. The Chiefs as a team, I mean they could have played a little bit better overall, but I mean they did just enough to win. They got a gritty win against the Titans team that they wanted revenge for, and there were some miscues. I mean, Kelsey had a drop here and there, and then like one of the deflections turned into an interception. But I mean, overall, the Chiefs they found a way to win a game. This is really good. Now they're tied for Buffalo atop the division, or excuse me, atop of the conference. We'll just go to that game real quick. I mean, Josh Allen had 2 interceptions. I mean, he played really weird. I mean, this was just a weird week in the NFL in general. Honestly, I mean, this was one of the weirder weeks. I mean, teams that you didn't expect to win won. Felt like a lot of the teams that usually should have won lost. It was just beyond weird. I mean, like yeah, the Bills should have won that game. I don't get how they lost it. I mean, it was just shocking. The Jets played really well. I mean, they forced the turnovers they needed to. Michael Carter had a decent day on the ground. James Robinson got in the end zone too. I mean, overall, it was just an insane and great win by the Jets. When it comes to the Bills, I mean, obviously they'll bounce back. It's a really good team, but it was just a really weird game. They got kind of ran on all over again. And this is going to be interesting to see how they bounce back next week because they play the Vikings. 21. It was 42-7 basically going to the fourth quarter. Baker scored 2 garbage touchdowns, and I mean, Joe Mixon had 5 touchdowns. I mean, he absolutely had an insane day. Set the franchise record for them. I just great win by the Bengals. Speaking of the Vikings had a comeback against the Commanders. I mean, they went down They went down like early a little bit, and they went down 17-7, and started looking like it was going to be bad and trouble for them. But I mean, they just found a way to claw and come back and win. I mean, it's just what the Vikings been doing. They just find ways to win games, even though it seems like they want to give them away at some points. I mean, overall, it was just a really good win for Minnesota. Much needed. The video of Kirk Cousins that came out afterwards of him dancing with all the chains on, that was awesome. I mean, that team is just so together, and they're just so together. They're close as a team, and I mean, they just play awesome. And it's just it was awesome to see them get another win. The Raiders were up 20-0, ended up losing 20-27. I don't even want to talk about them anymore. They just play awful. Devontae Adams had an awesome day. 10 catches for 145 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, I mean, good win by the Jacks. They're down 20-0. I mean, the Raiders just absolutely blew that game. They just seem hopeless this year, and their season's probably over if I had to guess at this point. Speaking of season's over, the Colts potentially could be. I mean, they just fired Frank Reich. That's the big news for today. Jeff Saturday being announced as their new head coach. But, I mean, it's shocking. The Patriots did not play that good, and the Colts lost. I mean, overall, it was just a really overall, it's just a really bad game. Overall, it's just a really bad game by the Colts. I mean, no Jonathan Taylor again. It's just this season's been abysmal for them, but with Jeff Saturday at the helm with no college and no NFL experience, I mean, it's going to be very interesting what they do, but, I mean, they can't do much worse than they did last Monday. And, I mean, Patriots keep their playoff hopes alive with that win. The Dolphins and Bears, it was a really fun game to watch. I mean, the Bears are becoming way more watchable now. I mean, Justin Fields has been playing really well. He runs the ball better than any quarterback. The Bears seem to almost unlock it, too, and they're finally, going to it more. They're letting him do his plays. He had a sick, 50 to 60-yard touchdown that I was watching live that was just awesome, where he just basically outran everybody. He basically just hit, that second gear and just got past everyone. I mean, it was really awesome to see. For the Dolphins, they just continue to win with two at the helm. I mean, Tyreek Hill had a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, I think, is on pace to get 2,000 yards this season. I think he just passed Megatron for the most to this point in a season so far. Most receiving yards through this point in the season. I mean, yeah, Tyreek Hill's having some special season, and the Dolphins just continue to win. With two at the helm, even with the bad defense. When it comes to the Packers, I mean, they are just bad at football, too. The Lions scored 15 points. Aaron Rodgers had 3 interceptions, 2 of them being in the red zone. I mean, to say he was frustrated would be an understatement. I mean, he was, looked like he wanted to break something on the field. He was, basically trying to, rip his own arms off the way he was just so angry. He was just tensing up and, freaking out and just... He was having a really rough day, and I mean, the Packers are at an all-time low now. The Lions defense was basically the 740th ranked defense since 2003, I think is a stat, and they put up 9 points and lost. I mean, awful play by the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, and I mean, their season's at an all-time low at this point. Speaking of all-time low, I mean, the Rams, they were up 13-3. I think a quote came out about Jalen Ramsey being he wishes their offense could put teams away, because, I mean, they held them to 9 until 10 seconds left, then a PI happens after Brady walks them down the field, basically, because they don't defend the out route. So, basically, with about, I think, 40 seconds left, he was just out route for 10 yards, out route for 10 yards, out route for 10 yards, gets down to the one, the Buccaneers come back and win. It was an awesome win for them. The Rams are basically really in trouble now, but the Bucs go to Munich next week to play the Seahawks, and they're only 1-point favorites, and I'm liking the Seahawks in that game. I think the Seahawks, they've been a really, really good team, so I'll just go, that leads me right into them. I mean, they just beat down the Cardinals. Geno's had that pick 6. It basically looked like he took a deep breath, calmed himself, and then he just came back and was insane. I mean, Geno just played a really, really good game, and Kenneth Walker ran all over the Cardinals. I mean, the Seahawks look like a team right now. I mean, they're playing really, really good. I mean, nobody expected them to do this good at the beginning of the season. I mean, with the 49ers, they should be in real contention. I mean, it's basically them and the 49ers divisions now. They swept the Cardinals, so the Cardinals seem hopeless right now. And I just don't know what's going on with them. They're just a bad team, too. And, I mean, it was a really good win for the Seahawks, because now, yeah, it's between them and the 49ers for the division almost at this point. For the last game when it comes to Chargers-Falcons, this was a pretty good game. Eckler had 2 touchdowns on the day. Cordell Patterson had 2 touchdowns on the day. And, I mean, it was just it was back and forth throughout the whole game, and then it came down to a last few, minute or 2 drive for the Chargers, and then they end up getting to kick a field goal to win it. And, I mean, for them, that was a much-needed win, because they just, with everything that's been going on with them, I mean, yeah, that was just a really good feel-good win for them. So when it comes to this week, I mean, yeah, that's basically it. Not a lot of action this week because of all the buys and everything. So going to next week, I see we get the rematch of Falcons-Panthers, but we get it on Thursday night now. It'll be very interesting. The Panthers basically should have won that game last time, so now that they're home, that's a very interesting spot for them. 49ers against Chargers, I would feel like 49ers should win that game, just based off a hunch, but we will have to see. Bucks and Seahawks Munich. That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a really fun matchup to see. Titans Broncos. That's gonna probably be a 17-9 game. Really ugly game that the Titans probably pull out. Dolphins Browns should be really fun. I feel like Dolphins should win that game. You would think, but we don't know. Saints Steelers, couldn't even tell you who's going to win that one. Bears Lions. Another one that the Bears should win, but they're the Bears right now, so who knows. Giants, Texans. Giants, that should be a fun game. Bills, Vikings, that's probably one of the games of the afternoon. Or that's definitely probably the game of the 1 o'clock window because of record-wise. Even with the spread, that should be a really, really fun game. The Jaguars-Chiefs might be interesting, but we'll have to see. I don't know. I doubt it. Cowboys-Packers would have been more eventful if it wasn't how the two teams were going. Colts-Raiders, the only thing interesting about that is Jeff Saturday's first game coaching. And then when it comes to the Cardinals-Rams, I mean, yeah, both the teams are going nowhere right now. Okay, so this is what the players will look like. This is going to change not much at all. I mean, maybe the Titans will be ahead of the Ravens because of... Or no, I lied. No, they won't. I was looking at the wrong thing. Apologies. So this is what it looks like. I mean, these are your division winners. We got Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, and Titans. It's going to be very interesting. I think the Titans basically will hold on. Chiefs should hold on. Bills... The Jets will be an interesting one now that they beat them, but Bills you would think would hold on. So it really comes down to the Ravens division between them and the Bengals. Other side, you would think the Eagles have that division on lock. Interesting what the Cowboys do. Vikings should have that division on lock. I mean, the way that Lil Kirko's been playing, that the Vikings should be really, really good. And Aaron Rodgers looks like a shell of himself. The Seahawks, that's going to be interesting between them and the 49ers. That one, it's going to be a toss-up in the air. And then when it comes to the NFC South, I mean, the fact that the Bucs are even back in it, that's kind of shocking. If the Falcons win, I think they could be back in it tomorrow. Or if they win Thursday night, they could be back in it. So that's going to be another very interesting one to watch as well. So then when it comes to the bottom 3 teams making the playoffs after their huge win, the Jets are in. I think they stayed in from last week. This is no change. So I'm assuming they stayed in then. So yeah. The same with the Dolphins and the Chargers. So all these teams, I think that basically stayed the same. And then I think that on the other side with the Cowboys, Giants, and 49ers, kind of stayed the same too. I mean, there's a lot of teams on bye this week, like I said. So when it comes down to a lot of this movement, it seems like either a lot of teams that should have won, and then basically nobody else really moved. So then when it comes to the on the bubble teams, Falcons obviously dropped because of the NFC South thing, but I mean they still have a chance to take the division, so they should be okay maybe. Commanders are going to be a frisky playoff team. The same will probably go with the Rams, assuming that, but that's even a push, so I would say that's about where the drop-off is right now is Rams. So the Falcons and Commanders would be the frisky teams I think that could have the chance. I mean, the Rams, obviously, they could with all the talent, but they would need to pull together a lot more. Yeah, the Rams would need to pull together a lot better because they are not playing the best football right now. And then when it comes to the other side, I would probably say the Colts are the cutoff because, I mean, you see they're already 2 wins back, and I doubt they probably make it unless a miracle happens, so... The Bengals and the Patriots are the 2 frisky teams that are trying to fight to get in. So that's the NFL for this week. Now when it comes to the top 25 for the week, I mean, it was very, very. There's a lot of fun college basketball. There's a lot of fun college football games this week. I mean, Oregon State gets upset by Washington at home. That was a really, really close game and fun to watch. Northwestern was up for a bit in that game, and I mean the winds were insane that game. It was like 40 miles per hour, and they're blowing super, super hard. Tulane gets a very good win against Tulsa. North Carolina had a really good game. Virginia, they won. TCU played another good game and continues to win. They're just so, so good this year right now. The Big 12 potentially could be theirs. We have to see what they do against Texas. Penn State absolutely beats Indiana. Indiana's no good, makes sense. Oregon beats a no good Colorado. Syracuse gets upset by Pitt. That's kind of sad for Syracuse because that's going to hurt their chances to do anything a lot. Tennessee loses to Georgia. I mean, Georgia looks like this is their year again, and they're the reason they're that good. UCF beats Memphis in a really good game. Oklahoma State gets beat bad by Kansas, so I mean, they're probably done. They're going to probably drop out of the rankings if I had to guess. Texas beats Kansas State. And that was a really good win by Kansas, much needed. They're going to go up a lot, and Kansas State's probably going to might even drop out of the top 25 now. Illinois loses to Michigan State, which is a bad loss for them. They're going to drop pretty low. Notre Dame upsets Clemson for an amazing win. LSU in the OT thriller goes for 2 and wins the game. I mean, that was awesome. We'd love to see that. Alabama now, when it comes to college football playoffs, that's going to be interesting. Arizona, Utah. I mean, Utah absolutely beat Arizona. They aren't much good. Michigan beat a not very good Rutgers team while they struggled in the first half. Michigan handled business second. UCLA handles business against Arizona State. Wake Forest loses to NC State, and their season's looking like it's probably in jeopardy. And USC beats Cal. Now, when it comes to next week, when it comes to some of the ranked games, I mean, USC should handle business there. Tennessee, another team that needs to handle business, should. Ohio State should handle business. LSU, that's going to be a tough road game. They need to handle business. Illinois, Purdue's bad, but they're frisky, and they'll probably find a way to win if Illinois doesn't play them well. Michigan should win that game. Oklahoma State, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do. That's a close game, but they've been playing not the best. Alabama's going to need that game against Ole Miss. Clemson is coming back off a shaky loss to Louisville. By the way, I'm noticing this at the time of me recording this. I don't think this has changed. Obviously, their things, because Tennessee is still number one. So yeah, as you can see, some of these games, like looking across, aren't going to end up probably being that interesting, as there's a lot of lost teams this week. Wake Forest, North Carolina is probably going to be a good game. That should be fun. So yeah, basically, so this is going to be like a week behind, obviously. Hopefully this updates for next week, but this was the college football playoffs going into the weekend. I believe now it's probably going to be Georgia 1, I would want to guess, Ohio State 2. Okay, so yeah, I have to look it up real quick. I think it's 1 Georgia, 2 Ohio State, 3 Michigan, 4 TCU. So as of right now, those are your college football playoff teams, and the first 2 out are Tennessee and Oregon. So those are basically the top 6 teams as of right now that everyone sees us playing in. I mean, TCU, Georgia, I think Georgia would beat them. I mean, that would be it'd be pretty fun to see how TCU would play against a team that's not named Georgia, because I think Georgia's probably going to end up, the way it's looking now, they're probably going to win it all. I mean, they don't play well and they still beat teams. I mean, that's just all they do is win. All they do is win. And I mean, I think TCU would be a fun matchup to see them get the playoffs, just for like when it comes to teams like that. If they go undefeated, there's no way they aren't going to make it in at this point. And for Tennessee, it really sucks that they lost to Georgia. Hopefully for them, they might be able to handle business and do something. But yeah, that's basically all the football that's going for this week. When it comes to NFL, there seems like there's going to be some fun matchups. That Chargers game during the night for the 49ers has a chance to be fun, depending what Chargers team shows up and if injuries are good. And when it comes to the game of the day, my guess is... You know what? Let's do that real quick. So yeah, by the way, before I go into this, I did listen to the Colts bit of the press conference with Irsay and Jeff Saturday, and while I am kind of excited to see where the game goes, and where the team does and everything, I mean, Jim Irsay definitely didn't do himself any favors, because there's already a bunch of headlines coming out about what he said and everything, and everyone's going to dive too deep into it, but it's just, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see as a Colts fan. But if I'm going to rank my 3 games for the day, number 3, honorable mention, by the way, before we get into it, always has to be Eagles, since they're undefeated to watch them Monday night. That's going to be interesting to see. Number 3, I might just go with, I guess I'll go with Dolphins-Browns, just because the Dolphins are a really fun team to watch. And, I mean, Tua is really fun to watch, and he's 5-0 as a starter this season, so it'll be fun to see what he does. And the Browns team, they have a chance to be fun. And they're coming off a bye, so it'll be interesting to see what they can try to do against Tyreek Hill. Number 2 will probably be the Sunday night game of the 49ers against Chargers, just because, like, the Chargers have a chance to make that a shootout if the depending on what Chargers team shows up. So hopefully the fun, explosive one shows up. And my game of the week probably is going to be the Vikings-Bills, just because they're both really, really good teams. The Vikings have been flirting with losses for the past few weeks, and the Bills just had a really, really bad loss. So it's going to be probably hunting season for the Bills. I'm going to be very excited to see how the Vikings handle some adversity. So that should be all the games this week, and this should be another fun week of football and everything. I mean, that Vikings-Bills game should be hopefully a really, really exciting game. And then, looking across the slate, it's just been a crazy year of NFL. Just underdogs keep winning out of nowhere. So hopefully this week doesn't disappoint either.